What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to introduce you guys a new vehicle to the R4T lineup. So this here is a 2008 Lexus GX470, and this has been around for obviously a while now, but hasn't really been accepted as often or as much in the overland scene until recently. So we of course had to get one, and we're gonna put some things on it to make it look good. So let's show you guys what it has right now. So first off, let's go ahead and start in the very front. So of course you see the chrome that Toyota always does, especially in the Lexus trims. If you guys didn't know, Lexus and Toyota are the same company. But in the front, we're gonna get rid of this chrome here. We'll probably do like a black theme or something dark. Next to that, you guys will see the headlights, which are completely oxidized, and they are pretty bad. This one even has a crack on it, so we might replace the headlight. The owner of this vehicle gave us 2 sets of used headlights with it, so we're gonna replace one of the we're gonna replace both, and then we're gonna refinish it so that way it looks new. Same with the fog lights down here. They are also pretty oxidized, so we'll probably buff that out as well. And we'll have a different video to show you guys how to do all that if you guys are having the same issue. Over here, this does have ditch lights already. The previous owner installed them, but they were actually hitting the hood with the bottom of the bolt, so we had to bend it up so that way it wouldn't damage the paint any further. But like you can see here, the bracket's pretty bad, and the light would just bounce all over the place if it's actually used at night. So what we're gonna do, obviously, replace this one, replace the light itself to one that is obviously better, and it will last longer. So previously, the owner of this vehicle replaced the tires on it with some Falcon Wild Peaks, which are very popular in the Toyota market. These are 265/70/17, so slightly bigger than what it came with. They also changed the wheels for some reason, which are completely rusted out, and you can see the metal underneath just flaking off. So we're definitely gonna replace that. It also has sliders on them. I'm not exactly sure what brand these are, but they are welded on, so it is welded to the frame. But it is resting on the backside pretty badly. So what we're gonna do, we're just chop it off, put the Running for Taco sliders on it, and it'll look nice and new, and it'll have the proper coating on it, because the owner of this one, he actually told me he rattle canned it, so he just sprayed it at home. And I think this was a DIY kit, so he welded all of this himself before welding it onto the actual truck. The one thing I do notice with a lot of the GX is that this piece is completely missing when you install sliders. So what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna make a piece that is plastic that'll hide this and just make it look finished. It'll probably be flush with the bottom of the door here, but that'll be a project down the road. So if you guys have a GX, look out for that part, especially just because the factory running boards is pretty much built in, so it comes down here, runs all the way to the back. So every time you do sliders, you're gonna have this fully exposed. So onto the back. One of my favorite things about this vehicle, kind of like the FJ Cruiser, the door actually swings open instead of opening up. So that's really nice. In here, we have the 2 sets of headlights I told you guys about. And then I'm not exactly sure what this piece goes to. So there's a lot of figuring out that needs to be done just because this vehicle was used. But we'll show you guys the inside in just a little bit. One of the things that I notice with GX owners is that they complain about this back piece a lot, flopping, kind of like how it does here, and just dangles down there. So we have a fix for this. We'll do it in a separate video, but just so you guys know, we have something for that. Under the hood is probably my favorite part of this vehicle. The V8 engine that Lexus or Toyota decided to put on the GX is super smooth. So if you guys ever driven a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, and an 8-cylinder, you guys will notice that the V8, it just runs a lot smoother, just because the pistons are kind of pretty much balancing themselves out, and everything in the V8 just is way better. So The way this thing drives is probably my favorite out of all the vehicles we have right now, but factory always does drive better. But we'll see how it does after we put a lift and everything else on it. All right, now let's go take a look inside. So here's the door. Has the seat settings 1 and 2. So the one thing you'll notice with this truck is that it will have the premium features that you normally get in like the higher end cars, like those seat savers. And I'll show you guys a couple more, but this has the transfer case lock as well. So this is all-time forward drive. A couple of features there. One thing we do want to change out is gonna be these pieces, just because they look a little orangish to me, which isn't great. So we're gonna probably swap those out. There's a cover kit, but we're gonna see if they can make a different cover for us in a different color, so that way it's cooler. One thing I do not like about this interior is that the seat is ripped. That's just due to the user, obviously. But yeah, we're gonna have to find a seat replacement or repair it somehow. Down here, something that the third gen Tacoma doesn't even have, which is the electronic seat adjustments. So yeah, this is 08, by the way. Yet down here, there is a something for a trailer that the owner used to use when he was towing, so we got to take that out. Steering wheel, very old school. Interior, it does have navigation. All the climate control stuff, it does have the dual climate control, which is a standard. It does have the heated seats way down there. Auxiliary, it does have the air ride, so you can adjust the air and like the height control and all that stuff. The gear, you can change it to low, neutral, or high, even if you're in 4 high. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Here's the back seat. If you guys notice, we got all the bulbs all over the place, just because that's what we're going to be doing next. In the back, pretty clean. The only thing that wasn't clean in this truck is that front seat. Back seat's pretty clean, but as you can see there, that orange light is horrible. It's super dark. Now that we have shown you guys the entire truck, we're going to get into our first modification, which is replacing all of the bulbs that are halogen to LEDs. So we're going to start inside, so let's go in there real quick. First thing we're going to replace is the light that is on the door. This process is going to be the same for all of them, so we're only going to show you guys this once. But if you look at it, there is a couple notches on the bottom. Get a flathead, or even better, a plastic pry tool. I can't find one right now, so this is what I'm going to use. Pry under there, and it'll just come out that easy. So what you could do, you could just pop off the entire thing. There's a little clip on there, so you can just pop it off. Using your flathead will probably be the easiest. So just like that, there's your bulb. We're gonna close the door or push on the actuator right there so that the light goes off, so it's not as hot. Then we'll pull that out and replace it. And then we're going to be replacing it with one of these, one of our favorite lights for bulbs, at least. It's going to be VLEDs. So that one wasn't too hot, so we were able to pull it out. So here's the new one. Plug it in, and if it doesn't work, I'll show you it the other way. Oh, it works both ways. Sometimes these things are polarity sensitive, so if one way doesn't work, take it out, flip it 180, and then plug it in. So push it all the way in. You guys can see they're super bright. Put the cover back on and then push it back in. Start with the outside. The inside has a prong, so that's the one you just want to push. So much better. So here's kind of a side-by-side comparison, as close as I can get. But yeah, that's a big improvement. Next, we're going to be working on the Vanity Light. So as you can see here, when it's fully open, it has that orange look. There's a little notch that's pretty obvious on this one. Same thing, same pry tool. It's a very small clip that will go flying just like that. Inside is going to be a very small and skinny bulb. It is best to get this one with a plastic pry tool, just because if you use metal you could short it if you touch the two prongs. So I would just use my hand. I'll push it down and pops off just like that. The replacement is same size, just with LEDs. So pop it in here, and if it doesn't work, take it out, flip it, and make sure this is all the way open. And obviously we had it the first time. There you go. Make sure that's, so you can spin it still, so you can make sure it's aiming all the way out. And then we will pop the cover back on. There we go. So I went ahead and brightened up the camera setting so that way you guys can see this a little bit better on the camera. But let's see, flip that off. Same thing with this one. You guys will find a little notch on the side of it. And all these things are pretty much going to be the same. Find it, pry a little bit, and it'll fall down just like that. So with the cover off, this bulb here is going to be a little bit different than what we used in the past. But if you look on the back side, which you guys probably can't see, there's a little notch on it. So basically what you got to do, you can't just pull it straight out. You have to turn it. So turn it, let's see, counterclockwise. And then it'll kind of spring out of place. So these little things here, hopefully you guys can see that. But they're two little pins, I guess. You do have to turn it counterclockwise and then pull it out. The new one obviously will have the exact same pins, but with LEDs on the side and on top. So we will line it up. And you guys, when you guys are doing this, you guys will understand what I mean by lining up. There we go, it'll fall into place right there. Flip that on. Night and day difference. We'll pop this cover on so you guys can see it with the cover. This side over here. There you go. Amber, white. Next, we're going to be working on this bulb that is behind an ashtray. This thing we don't really see too often anymore, but this Lexus GX does have it. Sorry about the noise, we're just doing some work on a cab mount relocate. But down here, there is a bulb, tiny little bulb, that we're going to be replacing. Just because we're going to replace all the bulbs, and it's going to be a little tricky to get this little guy out. So we have a set of angled pliers, needle nose. I can't really see what I'm grabbing at either, so that doesn't really help. But put a little bit of pressure on it, and voila. There we have it. This is our replacement bulb. Hard to see, but same size, just LED. So feed this guy on in there. So there we go. It took about 2 minutes of playing with that, but we were able to finally get it into its proper spot. To be honest, I don't know if I want to put on the green that it was on there earlier, but we'll put it back. But if you don't like it, you just like the white, I would just leave that off. It really doesn't do anything besides change the color. Pop that back. There we have it. Next, we are going to be taking this one here that is in the glove box compartment. So I did find my plastic pry tool, so we're going to use the plastic one this time. Pry it down, super easy. The entire housing falls down, and then you can separate it. We're going to use the pry tool to get in the little crack. Pop it open, and there's your little tiny bulb. This one is the exact same bulb that is in the cigarette lighter area. So we will grab this bulb. So with this one, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to pull it with the needle nose pliers that we used earlier. So we'll grab the new bulb, plug it in, and if it does not work, grab it, flip it 180. But as you can see here, it works. Make sure it's all the way in as well, that way it doesn't fall out. Put your cover back on. Just like that. And then feed it back in. Just like that. Now you have white light in your glove box and in your cigarette ash area. So in the back of the hatch here, we have one more light that we have to pop out. So we will get up in there, pry it out just like that. In there, you have a little tiny bulb. Come out super easy. Here's our new bulb. Put it in there, flip it on, just to make sure we have the light polarity, and we do. So I flipped it back off, line it up, make sure it works, and then we'll put the cover back on. There we go. I'll put it on the door, so that way it'll light up when the door's open. All right guys, now that we're done with all of the interior lights, we're going to do the exterior. The only thing we won't do is the turn signals, and we would do those in a separate video just because that one's kind of a big thing, just because there's hyper flash issues, and we want to show you these special bulbs that will prevent it from doing that, or show you guys a way using resistors to prevent hyper flash. But we're going to go ahead and get started on the rear. This is the running light, that is the brake light. Hopefully I didn't get those mixed up, but they share the entire, they share the exact same bulb. So open up the door here. So normally there's a panel inside just to make it easy, but not this one. There's two 10mm bolts here. So grab a little drill. Take those off, and then sometimes when they're brand new, it comes off pretty easy, but this is not new, this is an 08. So what we have to do is pretty much push with our thumb on the outside of this all the way back, and then try not to push it so bad that it will pop off entirely. So there we go. You could also use the plastic pry tool that we used earlier. Get it in there because the plastic won't damage the paint or the tail light. But we just used our hands this time. Back of the tail light, the only thing that is making a connection with a connector is the turn signal bulb. So if you wanted to, just disconnect the one. I wish I could pull it further away to show you guys, but this is what I'm talking about. This is the only one that actually has a connector that goes here. The other two don't have any connectors, and the way that is that because it's all in sequence. So so that one's tapped into this one, that one's tapped into this one, so that's why they don't have any connectors on them. But pull those two out. Like I said, we're not going to pull the top one. We'll do a separate video. Set that off to the side. The new bulbs we're going to be using are these ones here. So as you guys can see, big difference, super bright as well, and you guys will see that very shortly. So what we'll do is put it on the driver's side. We won't put it on the passenger side. We'll flip on the lights and show you guys a side-by-side comparison. And if you guys look at these are absolutely amazing. The build quality is top-notch. These are designed in California, but once you have them installed, hopefully there's not polarity sensitive, so we don't have to flip them. Go ahead and pop it back in there. One thing you do need to notice is that where the steel prongs are going to end up on the actual tail light. So the steel prongs on the back of the bulb plastic piece will match up with the steel that is on the actual tail light. So get it in there, match it up. Should be fairly easy to do so. Once we have those two brand new bulbs installed. By the way, I didn't mention, those are red bulbs. What came out of it are white bulbs, and you can kind of see they're already like burnt looking. So let's pop this back in, get this connector, meet it up. Like I said, it doesn't really come out, so get it as close as you can. Plug it in, make sure it clips. A couple things you want to line up. These are two white tabs on the side. Line it up with the matching notches so that they'll slide in, which is extremely easy to do. Once they slide in there, push it forward, and you can feel it kind of snap into place. And then put these back on. Before we do that, actually, let's go ahead and test them, make sure they work. So there you have it, running lights. I have the headlights on, so I'll flip them off. The bottom one is not illuminated, but if I flip it on marker there, they both turn on, and then brake. So there's the brake. Put it back to automatic. So there you have it. Let me show you guys the side-by-side comparison. So this side is the newly installed LED, and the reason why we did red is because if we did white, it'll look more pinkish than red. So here's the factory with the halogen bulbs, and then the LED. Let me see if I can back up and see both. So there you have it. Not really a big difference, to be honest, until you step on the brakes. So let's show you guys what the brakes look like. Let's do that again. So as you guys saw there, the brake side is definitely brighter. There is a lot of light in this room, so you can't see the full power of the LED brakes, but just trust me, the driver's side with the new LEDs is definitely brighter. That's something that we personally like, just because, you know, brakes is what stops people from hitting you from the behind. But yep, as you can kind of see it right now, the driver has more red to it, as the passenger side has more of like a light red, kind of orangish color to it. So we definitely like the driver's side one just a little bit more. All right, so got Andy here helping me because we're not really sure how this part pops out, but we're just gonna pull it from the bottom. Hopefully all the clips come loose. Screw there. Screw there. Oh, just screw in there. See. I'm push that. Feel like it pushed in, yeah. Not sure what's going on. Ready? Yeah, that's better. Oh, yep. All right, so what this handle looks like is just clips on both sides. You kind of have to push the top down to kind of squeeze it together. But nothing broke. One side is spring loaded, the other side is just normal. But now we can go ahead and pull the rest of this out. Possibly. We might have to pull this top part. Maybe. So looks like it goes underneath it, so I did have to pull this top part. So we'll just pull this out. There we go. And then we should be able to lift up. Yay! That was a lot of work to replace the bulbs behind here. But once you have that cover open, you just cut all these. Now we got that one bulb. So this looks like it's already been taken out before. 1, 2, and then 2 license plate bulbs. So a little bit closer look here. We got one there on the left, one over here, and then just right in there, you guys will see 1 and 2 license plate lights. So this is going to be the old one. Is the new one, 7440. Very similar to the red one, which is 7443, but this is just white. So plug it in, we'll test them, make sure it's the right side, but normally you can see in there which way they need to go. There you go. Both reverse lights work. So we'll go ahead and pop those in there and then do the license plate lights. All right, so now we'll go ahead and replace the 2 license plate lights. They're kind of up there, but we should be able just to twist them. Oh, they're actually on. All right, because we just turned the lights on. Get that one. Need a lot of finger strength for this. Andy, you live in Boulder, you don't climb rocks?
No.
Come on, man.
That's not what we do. Well,
yes, it is.
That's not what I do up in Boulder.
There we go. Basically, oh shit, that's hot.
What do you think was gonna happen?
All right, so basically had to use 2 index fingers to twist that off, and I kind of just burnt myself. All right, so we ended up unplugging it from the actual connector, so that way the bulb itself could cool down. We could have also shut off the lights, but this was easier. But yeah, we'll pop these in, plug them back in, and they obviously work. And since they are LED, they're not going to burn our fingers. So this one doesn't work. Take it out, flip it 180, ta-da, and then just plug it back in, which is probably going to be easier said than done. All right, now we are putting the plastic back on. We're just going to reuse that black gasket that they had on there before. And then if you see any white clips, that are supposed to be in these holes, pull them off because we're going to be putting them on the back of the panel here, which Andy already has done. That way it goes on a lot easier. All right, now we're just gonna line up all the holes and put the panel back on. So going on is a lot easier, obviously, as you guys can see. And then we'll pop this back on. Andy thought it was harder. These have little metal prongs. So we just line them up with their slots, pop it in. This side we didn't take all the way off because it just hung out up there, which is fine. And we'll pop the handle back in as well. Should just be able to slide it in there. Possibly, maybe. Okay, got one side. There we go. Cool. Put these caps back on. These caps will lock the actual handle in place so that way it doesn't slide when you actually go to use them. So there's that. And then put this back as well. One screw for that over there. And then lastly, these two clips. There we go. Kind of a pain, but it was worth it. I'll just show you guys how they look. All right, so as you guys can see here, super bright reverse lights and then white license plate lights as well. So now everything that was halogen and orange on this truck before is now white LEDs. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. We are going to be doing the bulbs in the headlight in a separate video just because we are going to be replacing the entire headlight with the newer set that is in the trunk. So we'll replace the side marker and the turn signal in that video. So if you guys wanted to do these ones, you guys can go ahead and do them. It is a little bit tricky to get through them, but it's definitely doable. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys are subscribed. Turn on the bell notification, that way you guys get notified every time we post a new video, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.